Welcome back to Studio F, where on Fast Times with Willy B, we'll be talking about the Iron Claw. Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
Blow it up, Rusty.
Welcome back to Fast Times with Willy B. Today we'll be talking about the Iron Claw. I got Dustin back. Dustin, how are we feeling today?
Man, I feel great. That was an excellent movie.
Yeah, tearjerker.
Yeah.
I saw one review say it's the heavyweight tearjerker of the year. So
Heavyweight for sure.
little-
Heavyweight champion.
For sure. So let's dive into it. The Iron Claw, directed by Sean Durkin, a biography of the Von Erichs family. Great cast. Zac Efron plays Kevin. Jeremy Allen White plays Carrie. Harris Dickinson plays David. Holt McCallany as Fritz, who I thought was phenomenal. Maura Tierney as Doris. Stanley Simons as Mike. Lily James as Pam. All around great performances. Let's hop into the good because there is a lot to dive into with the good. Let's start with the performances.
Oh,
What a job by this crew.
yeah. Literally all of them, and Zac Efron especially. Standout performance of his, for sure, out of everything. I mean, at least everything I've seen him in. He really sunk his teeth into it, and I feel like playing a professional wrestler is something that Zac Efron was like born to do.
Yeah. Yeah, this movie coming out, a lot of the reception said this is Efron's best performance. Watch out at the Oscars, and I think we witnessed that word was backed up for sure.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah, man.
I've never been a Zac Efron hater. As a kid, I enjoyed the High School Musicals enough, and then he got more into the comedy scene. But people were wondering, can he take that big step in a drama? And I think he shut up all the doubters with this performance.
Definitely. And this, he's known for his physique and his, his suave demeanor and everything. And like I said, he was born to play a professional wrestler. You got to have, and such an emotional story, true story that involves these athletic types of people. I mean, perfect guy. He's got the physique, but he's also got the personality, and it shows that he's got the emotional acting chops too. So just all around great talent.
For sure. And speaking on the physique, obviously there was still some work done to get into the shape. And what a job by everybody. I mean, everybody got big for this film. Jeremy Allen White, Harry Dickinson, which Harry Dickinson I think was an underrated performance. We all know, what you're going to get from White. White's phenomenal. Harry Dickinson as David kind of blew me away as far as supporting characters go.
Yeah, no, he was fantastic. And he's British, right? Yeah, man. Couldn't tell.
Yeah, no, not at all. And continuing with supporting cast, Holt McCallany, great job as the father. Really looked like Fritz too.
Looked exactly like him. It was wild.
Kind of scary, but I think all the hype is around Zac Efron, and I think that's deserved. I think he's going to be nominated, if not more, for when award season comes around. But there's a lot of supporting characters in this film that might be nominated, if not winning awards as well. I think this is as well-rounded as a cast that we've seen all year.
Yeah, I could see Lily James being nominated for something. This was a standout performance of hers. I haven't seen her in anything else, but I know she's in other things. She played Pam Anderson, I think, right?
Yeah.
And yeah. But yeah, no, that was fantastic. I just want to point out Carrie Von Erich.
Oh, Jeremy Allen White.
Jeremy Allen White, yeah. Okay, he's like a small guy.
Yeah.
He's built and everything, but if you look at Kerry Von Erich, he's huge.
Yeah.
He was a huge guy, and it was like really wild. And whenever I first found out that he was gonna play him, I was like, okay, like as an actor, like yeah, he's gonna
Yeah.
do great, and he's gonna sink his teeth into it. But like the physique, like Kerry Von Erich had the physique of like the ultimate warrior,
Yeah.
you know, and like it's like larger than life. So I was really interested to see how they were gonna do it, but it was cool because like the way that everything was portrayed in the movie, everything was. I mean, it felt larger than life, but
Yeah.
like the guys that they cast, they still kind of toned it down a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, they're not like huge freakazoid like
Yeah.
bodybuilders, but they still like presented themselves as larger than life, which I felt Jeremy Allen White did really, really well in portraying Carrie.
For sure. Like I said, not a bad performance in this one. Let's hop over to the story. Obviously, you have background knowledge, being an enormous wrestling fan that you are. You knew the story going in, and you even told me some things after the movie that just blew me away.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that this movie was about a story that is so sad that they actually had to take things away from it
Yeah.
to make it believable.
Yeah.
So obviously, you know, I'll let you dive into it. Did you think that the story that they presented really represented the Von Erich family as good? Obviously, I don't have the knowledge that you do, so I'm following the story along, and you know, it's a tearjerker with some comedy mixed in, family, brotherhood. I loved it, but as somebody that knows the knowledge, did it match up?
No, I think it definitely like pretty much perfectly captured what happened to that family, and I mean, as far as I know, being just a fan of wrestling and who likes to just learn about it. I mean, I wasn't there, so you know, but like, yeah, pretty much like they subtracted a brother. But like I understand why, like it would have just been way too much, man. So it would have been such a sad movie. So like more of a sad movie than it already was. There was another brother named Chris. He was the youngest, and he was more like he was very gung ho about wrestling. He loved it, like lived it and breathed it, you know. But like he was the one that when he started in the ring. He was starting to get hurt like really, really easily, and like his brothers were like they just did not want to see him breaking his bones in the ring anymore, and so you know they decided that he wasn't going to be able to do it, and he actually ended up taking his own life as well, and that just I mean adding one more suicide to that movie would have been that would have just been like set it over the edge for a lot of people, and I really understand. But as far as I understand, the director Sean Durkin wanted to combine Chris and Mike into one sort of character, and so Mike kind of embodies both Mike and Chris. So I understand why they did that, which was cool, you know.
Yeah.
He did it pretty seamlessly.
Yeah, when you told me that, I was, you know, we were talking a little bit about how it just is a 1, 2, 3 to the jaw of just heartbreak. And to think that wasn't all of it just kind of makes it even more powerful.
Yeah. And it's a real testament to the man Kevin Von Erich. Like he has been through so much.
Yeah.
And he seems like, at least, and like out of all of the interviews with all the wrestlers I've ever watched, like nobody has like a bad thing to say about him. He seems like he's just such a genuine, kind-hearted man, you know, and to know everything that he's been through, man, like that's he's a trooper. He's a one of a kind for sure. Somebody who somebody that's admirable for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't imagine. Like you said, that brother, they kind of, another brother, Jack Jr., passed away. He was the oldest, passed away when Kevin was 5. And that just adds to it, when you're talking about the Von Erich curse. And that was really what started it when they changed their name to the Von Erichs. And then it was just a whirlwind of a 9-year span.
Yeah.
But this movie, I thought, did a really good job at capturing that through showing the notes, through Jeremy Allen White's suicide was the one that really got me, because you hear the bullet go off and you see Zac Efron run to this lifeless body, and right after he tells his dad to watch out for him, and then it leads to him choking out Fritz, and it's just...
It culminates.
Yeah.
The whole movie culminates to that, to Kevin
finally standing
up to his dad and literally almost killing him. I don't know if that's actually what happened in real life, but
I can imagine that went through Kevin's head.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially when you're going through as much trauma as he did. And when you talk about the Testament of a Man too, you say nobody has a bad thing to say about Kevin. Through it all, imagine being Pam.
Yeah.
In this story where, your husband's losing a loved one after a loved one, and he's not really there, and it's hard on you, but how can you, get mad, And it just, see that photo at the end of the movie of them with their 4 children and 13 grandchildren just makes you, like you said, show how strong Kevin was, but not only Kevin, Pam.
Yeah. Absolutely, he had a good partner by his side, and Pam for sure, and she she told him was it Mike's funeral or Carrie's funeral? One of the funerals. She told him, she said, "Come home."
That was at Mike's. Yep.
Yeah.
Mike's.
She said, "You got to come home," and he was like, "I don't know if I can tonight. I'm gonna go And he goes and trains, and she understood, she didn't push him or anything, but she told him, you got to come home.
And you said he had a good partner by him. That's the only line of positivity you get from Fritz in this film is when he leans over to Kevin while they're eating at the picnic.
Right.
And he says, "You've got a good one.
Yeah.
Don't set her down or somebody else will pick her up."
Yeah.
And looking back at that,
right.
At least there was some positivity to come from the relationship they had,
Yeah, yeah, he knew it. Fritz was such a, he felt larger than life, and he felt larger than life in the stories that I've heard about him too, and they really depicted him well as being just almost like a military esque, he was like a military general of a dad, and he's like, "Now listen,
men don't cry."
Men don't cry. You suck them tears up. I don't want to see any tears at this funeral.
Yeah, even when David passes, no crying.
No, man. You got to be the best. You got to be the toughest, the strongest, the fastest, the everything if you want to succeed. And they worked so hard at doing that, and it, did they succeed? Look where it got the rest of them, and it was just that pressure, man. That pressure.
Something to continue on with the story. A scene I loved. What happened right after Carrie takes his life, and they show his note, and it says, "I'm gonna walk with my brothers now." Mm-hmm. That little glimpse of what heaven is, and I'd like to think that was Kevin's mind playing that, because he kind of came back to him. Yeah. But him having Carrie on the boat, and he sees the other brothers, and he gets to meet Jack Jr. That's when it was like, all right, now you're not only pulling on my heartstrings, but you're snipping them. Yeah. That was powerful. Yeah. I used that word already, but that's just what this movie was. Mm-hmm. Every single scene had a purpose, and whether it was, lighthearted or super sad, emotion flooded this entire film.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that scene is probably I think that's a real life image that Kevin carries with him in his dreams, like probably almost nightly, or very regularly. I think that's something that he thinks about, and that he hopes and prays for. For his brothers to all be together like that.
Yeah.
And and it makes me think of like back in like I don't know, it was like 2006 or 7 or something like that. I was watching an episode of Monday Night Raw, and they had like a special like Legends night or whatever, where they had like Jimmy Superfly Snuka on there, and like a few others, and Kevin Von Erich showed up, and he like, that was wild. Like, he hasn't been seen like in wrestling for a long time up until that point, and he came out, and I can't remember who it was, but it was some heel, some like like current heel wrestler at the time, that all the Legends like ganged up on him and beat him up, and they threw him over to Kevin, and he latched the iron claw onto him, and he had it hooked in, and then like the heel went off to like some other wrestler. I think it was maybe Jimmy Superfly Snuka, and all this commotion was happening in the ring at the same time. But like, I watched Kevin Von Erich, and I didn't really know the story back then. I was a kid, but I watched Kevin Von Erich after he like let him go, and like, your attention wasn't supposed to be on Kevin anymore. Yeah. But I watched him off in the corner of the ring, and he was just like looking at his hand after he did it. And like, I don't know, he just like had this expression on, like he was like, it was like he was thinking back, or like imagining his brothers. Yeah. And that's what I thought of whenever that scene happened. I thought of Kevin looking at his hand and looking at the iron claw, and just like thinking about.
That was another cool scene.
Yeah.
The iron claw against Ric Flair.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
Which was interesting too, because Kevin fought Ric Flair like a slew of times in his career for the belt. And one time almost won. It was like a disqualification, but everybody thought he won the match at first. So like, they gave him the belt, and he was like, parading with it and everything, and they took it away from him because like Ric Flair like hit the ref or something like that, and so it was a disqualification. Rick got to keep the belt, but that was actually before David died.
Okay.
Yeah. So in real life, technically, Kevin did get the first dibs at the belt, but he just like, he was supposed to lose that one.
Yeah.
But David was, as they said, that it was correct. David was supposed to be the new NWA World Heavyweight Champion
before the passing.
They were gonna do that whole feud with Flair, like they talked about in the movie. He went over to Japan to make a name for himself, and yeah, that's where he died. Heartbreaking.
Yeah. Just like, every other story based on a true story, some things are mixed around, but I thought Durkin did a very good job in the direction of this film, the way he went with it. I do, at the end of the day, like that he, cut out that other brother. It's sad that you have to do that to make it more believable, but I agree it kind of would have been overkill, and, like, at that point, it's just a sob fest,
Yeah.
I don't know if I could have taken a fourth one. What I mean?
Man. I get it.
But continuing with Durkin and the direction, super well shot movie. I loved the camera angles, the camera shots. The cinematography was gorgeous. It really captured the aesthetic of Texas in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
We were commenting on you commented on the costume. The costume and set design was perfect too.
Man,
when Zac Efron's helping work, and he's wearing the cutoff shorts with the vest that's unbuttoned, and the big old boots, and the cowboy hat.
Yeah, man. That's a good style.
Yeah, and I loved everything about what I saw on screen that was, put in front of me as far as cinematography, set design, costume. Obviously, we already talked about the actors put a lot into looking like professional wrestlers as well.
Oh, yeah.
You know, really hit the gym. It was just a good aesthetic, and I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it.
Yeah, man, and they really trained for that shit too. Like that, Efron doing the body splash off the top rope. Jeremy Allen White doing the sunset flip off of the turnbuckle. Like they did that stuff for real, and that hurts. I guess I've never done it, but like that hurts. It doesn't feel good, and for them to like actually like put that time and effort into it, I feel like they got a lot of respect from the wrestling community too. And they were trained by none other than Chavo Guerrero.
Mm-hmm.
He's a legend in himself, and of course he's the nephew of the late great Eddie Guerrero.
Mm-hmm.
And so, they just had a really great, really great minds that were making this movie.
Yeah, and continuing with the aesthetic, like when they would show television intros and
oh yeah,
it was awesome, dude.
That was like that was like verbatim what WCCW's like intro was. It was like dun 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 dun. It was like that was so cool. I geeked out when I saw that.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah, but I loved it. I there wasn't any scene in this movie I didn't felt like it fit.
Mm-hmm.
I thought everything fit perfectly. I thought it was shot very well. I thought it was edited well too. I love the transitions. We had a lot of cut transitions where it was, cut the song, cut what's going on, and cut over. I loved the coin flip transition when they were deciding who would, between Carrie and Kevin, who would now fight in place of David after the passing. That was cool. It just cut to him walking into the arena with the In Memory of David jacket on.
Yep.
Just all around a great job by Durkin.
Yeah, man.
And you could tell that he was a fan. He loves this, like, not loves this story because obviously it's heartbreaking, but he wanted this story to be told.
Yeah. No, I could tell that he or somebody involved in this was a genuine wrestling fan.
Yeah.
Just, there was just like little details that they put in there, like words that jargon that is used in the wrestling world, like getting heat, like all that sort of stuff. Like, the Ric Flair promo was like a combination of a lot of his promos. Like it wasn't one single promo, but like it was like like a hell of a lot more money than whatever it is you got on. I'd be ashamed to wear it.
Yeah, $800. I really liked the. It was. I think his name was Sean Eisenberg that played Ric Flair.
Okay.
I thought he did a really good job.
I thought so too. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really fun. The promo, and we're talking about the heartbreak, and obviously that's a huge part, especially in the back half of the film. But there is some lighthearted moments too, like when Zac Efron's in his first promo, and David's chirping from behind, and they pick him up when they pick Mike up from the band practice, and he's like, I could eat a burger right now. I wish Carrie was here. He'd take me to get burgers.
Yeah.
And talks him into getting burgers, and that burger.
And they're just hanging out.
Yeah.
Oh, dude,
Don't get me started on that, but it was, the first half of the movie is very lighthearted, and I think it allows you to settle in, get the background info before it just tears your heart out.
For sure, and it really sets up like the strengths of each brother as a wrestler too. Like Zach, Kevin was never the greatest promo.
Yeah.
David was really the good promo guy. Yeah. Like he was good on the mic. Carrie always had like the physique and he was good looking and all that stuff. But Kevin was always like, in my opinion, Kevin was the best in the ring. A lot of old wrestlers though will say that David was the best all around wrestler. Which was interesting. Like, he was great. He was really great. But I don't know, man. I think Kevin was really great in the ring, though. He could do really cool stuff. He was like an Edgar Rice Burroughs character. Yeah. Come to life in the ring with his shoes off and everything.
Yeah. I liked that. I thought a really cool part going into this film is you and I, before we went and watched just a few days ago. We sat down, we watched The Wrestler. Great film.
Wonderful.
Phenomenal film. Really gives you an inside look to what wrestlers face day to day.
Yeah.
And then we watched some Von Erich highlights, and it was cool because everything we watched actually ended up being in the movie.
Yeah, man.
Which was kind of cool. You know, we got the 6-man...
with the fabulous Freebirds.
Yeah, we got that. We didn't watch the whole fight, but we watched the beginning of Kerry walking in when his first title bout against Ric Flair. It was kind of cool to see like how spot on those were, not just in choreography, but in set design again, the look of the arena, the crowd, the noise, the jacket. Like everything was spot on.
They really captured the sportatorium, like the dirty, grimy, like Texas cowboy saloon stadium.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure. Another great part of this movie's soundtrack. Obviously, if you've watched the trailer, you know you're gonna get, Tom Sawyer. You're gonna get Don't Fear the Reaper. But we get some Frankie Valli at the wedding with Beggin. We get some Tom Petty at the beginning. Don't Do Me Like That. And then even, the non-commercialized music was really good too. The score.
Yeah.
Especially in the back half of the movie. The front half is where we see a lot of the commercialized music.
Yeah.
The back half, after we start feeling the heartbreak, it would come in with just those melancholy tones and the strings and, there wasn't a bad sound in this movie as far as sound design and soundtrack goes. I thought that was all very good, and like I said, this is a movie that starts off lighthearted and obviously gets really heavy, but I think it's a movie that even if you're not a wrestling fan, you can enjoy this one.
No, for sure. And in saying that, like, I wish, like I was telling you after the movie, like, I wish that I went into the movie not knowing anything about this story.
I think it allows you to almost enjoy it more, not knowing the story, because everything's got that surprise factor on top of the emotion.
Yeah, I think I definitely would have enjoyed it more. I think I didn't cry at this movie, but I think that's just because, like, I knew what was going to happen and I was, like, prepared for it. But, like, I wanted to cry at this movie. I
did. I'm not
and everybody did, man. Yeah. And it's a tearjerker for sure. I was just, like, too prepared. I just, like, knew what was going to happen.
Yeah. I'm excited for award season. I think, like I said earlier, there's a lot of things that could be nominated from this film. I think it's obviously going to get a nod for Best Picture. I think Efron's going to get a nod for Best Actor. I wouldn't be surprised if we have multiple nominations in both Best Supporting Actor and Best Supporting Actress with Lily James and Maura Tierney.
Oh, yeah. Dottie? Yeah, dude.
I think we could see multiple nominations in both supporting characters. Obviously, best editing, best soundtrack. Or best score, I should say. There's a lot of places this could end up as far as nominations go.
Every actor, every main actor in the movie could be nominated for an Oscar. Jeremy Allen White.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see 3 Best Supporting Actor nominations. And if I had to say my choices, I'd go Jeremy Allen White, Harry Dickinson, and then Colt McCallany.
Yeah.
McCallany. I thought it's just hard because you don't want to take away from what Stanley Simons did as Mike, because he also did great. It's just at that point, screen time is where,
Yeah, for
doing
sure.
more with a lot of time. But it's just... I loved everything about this. I went into this movie expecting it to be towards the top of the year for me, and it didn't let me down at all.
No, for sure. It lived up to the hype.
Sometimes, when you go in those high expectations, you get let down. That wasn't the case here. I was enthralled the entire runtime, and we've already talked about going to see it again before we even started recording the review on it.
I definitely want to go see it again. I want to see it a few times and just, like, really pick it apart and dissect everything and see things connect in the movie. And
For sure. We'll go next Tuesday night, Discount Tuesdays.
oh, hell yeah.
We'll go half off. Like I said, we can go on and on with the good. We'll hop over. I personally don't have anything in the meh or bad category. I know minor nitpicky things might happen for you because you know the story. Is there anything you'd like to add as far as meh or bad for this film?
The thing of it is, there's continuity things.
Yeah.
But there were I understand the decisions. I understand why they decided. Okay, for example, after Kerry wins the NWA World Heavyweight Championship from Ric Flair at Texas Stadium, he had that belt for maybe 2.5 weeks or something, right? It wasn't immediately. He didn't immediately go out that night when he won the belt and get in the motorcycle accident.
I wanted to look that up. I wanted to look it up if it happened the same night because, God, that would... I mean, it sucks in general, but imagine, you know?
And that wasn't even the reason that he had to relinquish the belt. He had the belt for 2.5 weeks, and they the NWA committee got together and decided that he needed to give it back to Ric Flair because Kerry was just not showing up to events. He would be booked to defend the belt in all these territories. They had a territory system back in the 70s and 80s, early 90s too. And he would travel across the country to Florida, from Texas to Florida to Memphis to wherever else, Georgia, and you would defend the belt. You were the NWA champion, and that was a big deal. You had a lot of responsibility placed on you by the heads of the National Wrestling Alliance at that time.
Yeah.
And that meant that you were the golden boy, you were the poster child, and you had to do this.
Yeah.
And he let
them down.
He let him down. He no-showed. I know drugs were involved in everything. And so they were like, all right, well, we're going to set up a match between you and Flair again. You're going to drop the belt to Flair. Flair's going to be the champion for a long while again, because he's Ric Flair, he's the man.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until later that Kerry got in that motorcycle accident and lost his foot, and he kept that a secret, all through till he died. He went to the WWF,
and they didn't know.
And they didn't know he didn't have a foot. Yeah, man. I mean, certain people that he was close with did, like Bret the Hitman Hart. I guess towards the end of Kerry's life, he got really close with Bret Hart and confided in him a lot of things. And Bret Hart kind of knew that he was probably gonna do something he shouldn't do,
Yeah.
But yeah, he kept that a secret.
That's crazy.
But that wasn't. I understand again.
Yeah, you get it with every based on a true story film.
Yeah.
You can't. You got to make it. For Hollywood is what they say. You got to make it watchable. You got to make it entertaining, and
right.
You only have an hour and a half to 3 hours. You can't tell everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, I can't think of anything. I keep my notes when I'm in the theater, and I just kept skipping over the man bad and just going straight to the good. Every single scene was just incredible.
Yeah, there was one. There was one thing that was kind of it's not a bad or a meh or anything. It was just sort of interesting. Mm-hmm. There was a scene after Kerry gets in his accident and after Mike dies, where they're doing a match, and Kevin's in a tag match, and he's sitting on the ring apron, and he's tag me in, and the guy doesn't tag him in.
Yeah.
First of all, that wrestler is being played by the current AEW World Heavyweight Champion, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF. And he's playing Lance Von Erich, which was a made-up Von Erich brother that Fritz decided we're gonna take this random guy and tell everybody that he's a long lost Von Erich brother.
So kind of like what, like the wrestling families. That was the start of it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, and it just like didn't work out. Everybody knew that he wasn't really a brother, and they
Yeah.
just kind of like did away with that angle. But like that, it was kind of interesting that
That's
they like
cool.
put that, they alluded to it.
I was watching the credits and it said one of the background wrestlers was actually, I believe, one of the grandchildren or kids of Kevin.
Yeah, they're both wrestlers now, and I think they just debuted in All Elite Wrestling.
Okay.
Which I sent you a video of.
Yeah.
Kevin like did an appearance for
Yeah.
that, and yeah, his two sons, they're wrestlers now. I
Okay.
can't remember their names, but
Yeah, they were doing some background in the film too, so kind of just an all hands on deck type of thing. And
yeah,
like I said, it was really cool to see that picture at the end and see, despite
for sure.
what he's been put through, Kevin's made the most and has lived a long life and is
Yeah.
obviously happy. Let's go to our final thoughts and rating of the film. Anything you'd like to add on this film, and what would you give it out of 10?
Man, it was honestly like a rather spot on depiction of professional wrestling in the late 70s, early 80s. It was an emotional, narrative driven, character driven story about family, tragedy,
Yeah.
overcoming, all of that stuff. Man, I give it a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10? Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I mean, everything you said is spot on. Emotional roller coaster, has its ups, has its downs. It makes you want to dive more into the family. I was reading one review that said if you enjoyed this movie, check out the documentary that they have on the Von Erich family.
Yeah.
I'm going to.
Yep. The Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah.
They do a whole episode on the Von Erichs.
Yeah, so I'm going to check that out. I think this is a movie that if you love wrestling, you might find some things that bother you, but you'll enjoy this movie at the end of the day. If you don't like wrestling, you'll still find a great story.
Yeah.
And if you're in for emotion, this is the one. Bring the tissues.
Yeah.
I'm going 10 out of 10.
Yeah?
I went in with, expectations that this could be a 9, high 9 to a 10. And like I said, it didn't disappoint. There wasn't
Yeah.
a scene that didn't fit. Even, hearing the side of things that might not have been spot on, it just made sense. And when you have a story where you have to take away a death because it might not be believable, that just
Yeah.
it weighs heavy when you're rating something. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Talk about a family curse. Like,
yeah.
I would believe in it too if I was Kevin.
That was another scene I loved when you were talking about it at the funeral. When Pam's saying, just come home, he's like, I don't want to give it to you guys.
Yeah.
Like, he truly believed that this was a curse.
Yeah.
And that he was next. Like, that it was just coming after him and everyone he loved. And super sad, but God, if you're looking to see some great performances,
Yeah.
this is right up there. Again, Zac Efron, glad to see him.
Yeah. He shined.
Yeah.
He was the champion of
For
this
sure.
movie.
For sure. That'll do it for the Iron Claw. Thank you again, Dustin,
Oh, of course,
for
man.
coming on. And
Anytime.
yeah, we'll have you back here soon.
Always a
Gotta start
pleasure.
diving into the 2024 landscape now. Crazy to think, but
Wow, yeah.
2023 wrapping up. But if you like what you're watching, please like, comment, subscribe. Social links in the description below. Hit the follow button on those as well. And continue to follow along. We love your support, and we will talk to you all soon. Peace. Oh, I should have done that.